time, and then it'll continue to be a good time with a match tonight too. So that's all coming up when you join us.
Good
on
stuff,
Fox
Manny.
35
We've
News
had people
Plus.
miss slot when they fill in for Garrett. So I mean, this is great. I mean, it's a lot. People don't realize how much there is.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, I'll see you tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday
and Friday. That sounds good.
By Friday, you are going to be a pro at this. There's a lot of buttons to push in there. People don't realize
there are.
In that position, you are basically directing your own show. We have directors who do this show. Like, it's incredible what you guys do.
Right now, I wish I could show the people. What I'm staring at is maybe 30 buttons right here, another 15 right here, and then switch another page. More buttons over here, another screen over there.
Wow. It's like flying an aircraft.
Garrett knows what he's
I have help in here.
I don't know. All I know is I get anxiety just listening to you talk about it. So.
Well, good to have you, Manny. We'll see you tomorrow.
Every time I bump into Garrett, I always say, I just want to remind you of one of the toughest jobs in the building.
Absolutely.
I really think he does.
It's true. And it's like anything, right? It gets easier the more you do it, but that's not easy to learn.
Nope.
Right?
Yep. So the Mayor's coming up. Big soccer game tonight at 9 o'clock. These are the late ones, kind of the made-for-TV events, which means we'll have the highlights tomorrow morning on Good Deal Land.
Is this one? I imagine it's probably close to being sold out if it's not.
I would
right?
think so for these teams, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, good stuff. Can't wait for that. We'll, of course, bring that all to you tomorrow right here on Good Day Orlando.
Bye, guys. Have a great afternoon.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And a good morning to you. It is Monday, June 30th, 2025. Thank you for being here with us on Fox 35 News Plus. Manny Martinez in for Garrett Weimer here for the majority of the week. And it is a busy start to our Monday because let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that we have happening. There are a couple of things that we are tracking happening right now at 11 o'clock, and that is the governor's news conference that is on the right side of your screen. And then we are also waiting on Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer to speak about the FIFA Club World Cup and the success that it has been so far for the city of Orlando. So it is Two things that we are watching and waiting for. The mayor was supposed to start at 11 o'clock. It seemed as though he started speaking a little before 11 o'clock, and then the cameras shifted position, perhaps going to restart here in a moment. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and go to the governor's news conference, which is happening
pigs, deer projects, and things
speak.
of that nature. So we're very proud of that, and thank you, Governor, and the legislature for signing that bill. This year, the Florida Forest Service will go to 2,500 fires throughout the state of Florida. In the last 2 years, we now have a fleet of helicopters, drones, to be able to respond immediately to these fires. You may not see a lot of this. We have record control burn, prescribed burn here in the state of Florida, and we're going to continue to do those things. We do not want to become California or the Midwest or Canada on these issues. We appreciate the legislature and the governor for giving us the equipment and tools we need to do our job with. Very proud of that. Our ag law has been beefed up. Our northern border security, our interdiction stations. Just recently, we worked with HSI and Border Patrol, had a major fuel theft bust here in Spring Hill, Florida. You can look it up. It's going to be a media release today. Over almost $50,000 was secured. We took down a major ring that was not only in the state of Florida, but around the country. So we're very proud of our ag law. We've got a great team there now. They're doing a great job keeping us safe in our state. Our Consumer Services Division this year has a Operation Safe Summer program. We've removed over 15,000 packages of illegal hemp in our stores just in the last week from this program. We're going to continue to do that. They're targeting our children with these programs. Last year we had an operation called Candy Crush. Nearly 1 million packages we're taking off of our shelves, targeting our children. We appreciate the legislature and the governor for the help that they've given us on that program. The team's doing very well. This year, in the budget, we have many good nuggets that will really go unseen. One of them is a transfer switch program. So when we have a hurricane, you lose power. You can't turn power back on the fuel stations because we don't have generators. We've got a grant program this year to be able to put transfer stations within those gas stations so that we can hook a generator to it at the state level and get those fueling stations back up and running very quickly. So we're very proud of that. The governor did a great job speaking about our the water programs, and it's been true how good we're doing. In agriculture, we're doing an amazing job signing our farmers up for what we call BMPs, Best Management Practice Programs. And we have a cost share program just in the Indian River Lagoon alone. We've signed up over 20,000 acres in these last 2 years, more than double what had been there previously. So we're targeting areas of concern and including the whole state. But the cost share program the legislature provides and the governor signs has been amazing for what we've been able to do in agriculture. And this year, we're also going to start doing our regional water projects, which is going to take up an additional amount of nutrient load throughout the state. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Florida citrus. President Albritton is from a little community called Wauchula, Florida, and been involved in the citrus business all of his life. I think he's the 4th generation. And over $100 million is in this budget to help your citrus farmers recover from citrus screening through research, through the craft program and replanting programs. We hope in the next 8 or 10 years you will see a lot of citrus farms back here in Central and South Florida, so we're working on that. Last thing I'll mention, this was a priority of mine during when I was Senate President, but one of my #1 priorities then was to identify and define the wildlife corridor. The wildlife corridor in this state, if you want to know what it is, you can Google it. There's a nice little map out there, but if you Google a map of the state of Florida at nighttime, everywhere it's dark on that map, you'll see all the beautiful lights. You'll see the beautiful lights here in this area of the state. You'll recognize everywhere it's dark on that map is a wildlife corridor. It's where our aquifer is recharged. It's where animals traverse the state, and it's where we grow your food. If our grandkids are going to have a quality of life comparable to ours, we have to protect the wildlife corridor. In this budget, and thank you, legislature and governor, we have $250 million for our rural and family lands program, where we go in and buy development rights from farmers. and there's many advantages to buying development rights rather than buying at fee simple property. But we've had record funding. When I became Commissioner of Agriculture, there was about 56,000 acres in that program through the previous 20 years. Today, we have over 230,000 acres in it, and certainly we'll have close to 500,000 in the next 2 years. So thank you, legislature. Thank you, Governor. Thank you.
And just on the wildlife corridor, we've done amazing work there. There was a provision in the budget to take $200 million out of the wildlife corridor, put it in general revenue. That was not included in the $600 million I did veto that, so that remains in the wildlife corridor. It'll be subject to future appropriations, but I think we need to finish the job there. I think we've done really, really good. You know, it's like we have a beautiful state. Obviously, a lot of people want to be here, but you got to balance that with making sure that the state doesn't end up just concrete, right? I mean, you want to have that, and so I think it's been really good. And we'll continue working on that. So all in all, we continue the mission. I think things from a fiscal perspective, we couldn't be better positioned. We don't know what the future holds in terms of the macro economy or even the international economy. I know that there's a lot of different types of analysis that are out there about what is going to happen over the next 3, 6, 9 months, a year. But we're well positioned either way. So thanks to everybody. If you guys want to come up, we'll make this official. Does anybody have, I don't see any young kids with us here today, which I'm not surprised at. Does anyone have any young grandkids who would like a non-permanent marker to be able to give to them kids? You got it? Oh, that's a bad toss. That's a bad, who else? Oh no, sorry about that. Who else? That's a good toss. All right. All right, so those are, we would give the pens out, but the kids would write on them, and so the parents are like, can you do a non-permanent? I'm like, all right, so we got non-permanent. These are permanent, though. Today's the 30th of June, right at the buzzer.
Okay, no standing, please. We need to make sure the camera's on. Ma'am, thank you.
All right. So this budget will take effect at midnight tonight. Well, they're supposed to do it by May 2nd. We got it, I think the mid-June, kind of like, so we've had, there's a lot of line items in there that we've had to go over and kind of do everything, but we got it done, and so here's the planes land. All right, so we've got these pens. Anybody? Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. All right. I also have, now these guys may not want these. These are veto pens. But actually, you know what? I need to borrow one of those pens to sign the tax package. I forgot to sign the tax package. Okay. So all you Second Amendment enthusiasts, September 8th till the 31st, no tax on any of the stuff. Ammo, accoutrements. That's really, really historic. And I know a lot of businesses will be happy with the rent going down. Okay, so we have that. All right, so here's the tax and the budget for 25-26 in the state of Florida. All right. Good job, guys. Thank you. All right. So we've got some red pens. So this is the veto pen. All right, who else? And there were, as vetoes go, I mean, I basically usually try to hit a target about, okay, what do we want the overall budget to look like? And then sometimes there's just a lot of stuff that you kind of have to veto, but this one we really wanted to get the total spending in line with my recommendations from February, and so I think it's 9 or 10 million more, so we got it pretty close. There's some things at the buzzer, but I thought all in all it was good. But we did a little under 600 million, I think. we have done over $3 billion in the past. Now, on the veto, the $200 million for the take away from the wildlife corridor and put in general revenue, I vetoed that. We're not including that in the 600. I also vetoed, they took 750 and put it into some special fund where they're trying to do some constitutional amendment in the future, and it's there. I don't think that amendment's going to pass, so I vetoed the 750. So that's going back into the surplus as well. That's not included in the aggregate number that we gave you for line item vetoes. We also have legislation that's still pending. I think we're going through it. It's like I got all this dumped on my desk like 10 days ago. So we have I think a couple more days to be able to act on all the legislation. So there's a little bit left. We got through most of it. I may need some red pens on some of the legislation as well. Stay tuned. Okay, any questions? Yep. Yeah, no, so So, we've, I mentioned our efforts on illegal immigration, stepping up and really helping. And I think the one thing that we have seen over the initial months of the Trump administration is when we'd ask DHS, what can we do? They're just like, we just need detention space. Because, if you bring an illegal in, there is, the media says there is a process they go through, right, to determine whether you're in the country illegally. Some people may have a notice to appear in 7 days and from an immigration judge. Some people may already have an order of these. So there's stuff that go into it. And so, but that was the one thing. I've talked to Tom Homan about it. I've talked to a lot of these folks about it. And so we had a plan that we put out and told them, hey, we can execute this. I think we probably put it out about a month or so ago through the Division of Emergency Management under our director, Kevin Guthrie, where we would be able to stand up some makeshift detention space very quickly around the state of Florida. And we were talking about other different possibilities. So DHS was very supportive. So, what we're doing is like the state is doing it. The feds are kind of overseeing and then reimbursing us for the costs. But, we're looking at, okay, where could you do it that's not going to disturb the community, not going to create problems? And, there just happens to be this Dade Collier Airport that's out there kind of in the middle of the Everglade area. And it's not defunct. People say there are training flights that go in there, but it's a massive runway. And, there's not a lot of buildings out there, but there's a lot of concrete. And so these guys set up this whole thing within a matter of days. And so when the president comes tomorrow, he's going to be able to see, you're going to be able to do. What'll happen is you bring people in there. They ain't going anywhere once they're there unless you want them to go somewhere, because good luck getting to civilization. So the security is amazing. But natural and otherwise. But what it can be, I think, is an effective way to increase the number of removals and deportations, which ultimately, if you don't do that, you're going to continue to have this problem of illegal immigration. So you'll be able to bring people in, they'll get processed, they have an order of removal, then they can be queued, and the federal government can fly right on the runway, right there. You literally drive them 2,000 feet, put them on a plane, and then they're gone. It's very logistically simple, but what we're also going to do is, this idea of immigration judge, these are not Article 3 judges. They're not federal judges like we think of. These are executive branch employees who are called immigration judges. So you can have you can deputize different employees to do that. So we've offered some of our National Guardsmen to be able to serve as immigration judges. So what you could have is, okay, someone's a criminal alien, they obviously fast track. Someone has an order of deportation, okay, fast track. Someone may have just gotten picked up. They come, they can get like a notice to appear. Biden would tell you to come in 2 years. Under the Trump administration, it's usually within, 14 to 30 days. But we can have our National Guard acting as immigration judges right on site. So you go, maybe you have a day or two, whatever, and then a decision's made. And then that's it. So this is potentially be a force multiplier as this goes. And so, I did speak with the president this weekend. He's very excited about doing it. But I think what he wants to see is, Florida should not be the only one in this fight, right? We literally are doing what the voters who elected all of us have been demanding for many, many years. And immigration... And immigration was maybe the number one issue, maybe inflation, but certainly no worse than the second most important issue in the 2024 presidential election. So we've got to do it. And we're also looking at Camp Blanding up in Northeast Florida, which has a runway. And again, similar thing, secure, not going to interrupt the community, be able to fly people out. The feds will do it. I mean, we actually, we flew to Martha's Vineyard, right? I mean, we could probably fly there, but I think they want to be in charge of that because there's diplomatic niceties that go on, and I get it. So, but I do think that if you increase the amount of space for processing and then to be able to get them ripe to then be able to return to their home country by the thousands, that's going to really make a difference. And in Florida, we estimate we've got 50,000 illegal aliens in Florida who have already been ordered to be removed by an immigration judge. So you talk about, they've gone through this process, they have an order to remove, and they're just still here. And so that's low-hanging fruit. But we were in a situation where there's such a limited space that ICE has. Do you want all of our jails to be overflowing with illegals, or would you rather have that done in a separate mission? Because, unfortunately, we've got U.S. citizens committing crimes, and they are going to need to be held accountable. So it puts pressure on, it takes pressure off of our local institutions in a way that I think will be very, very efficient. So it should be, I think people are impressed. I think a lot of people didn't even know there was an airport there. But there is there. It's a good facility. Things are being done in, I think, a very efficient fashion. And I was really, honestly, I was impressed, but I know dealing with the hurricane response and all the other, monoclonal antibodies during COVID. We would set up monoclonal antibody clinics on 24-hour notice. Hey, we need one in Jacksonville. 24 hours later, it's up. That's this emergency response apparatus that we have. So I think it'll be interesting to see. And I believe by tomorrow they will be open. So DHS approved us doing this last week, and I think by tomorrow it'll be ready for business. Yes. That's his plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. Walk us through, you can pull back the curtain and walk us through the process of how Florida is able to make this stuff happen so fast. I recall the bridge, remember after a hurricane 3 years ago, and people in other parts of the U.S. were in awe of how you made that happen. So fast forward, whether people like it or not, how is this process able to happen? Just walk us through the steps.
It's just leadership and execution. We are a state that really understands when you're a skinny, you're a peninsula sticking out in the middle of a tropical part of the world, you are going to have to deal with weather disasters. Now, we've had our share in the last however many years. Maybe we get a break this year, but we're prepared. And so you have that. You've also seen that put into place to head off the BLM riots back in 2020. You didn't see that happening here because we had response. Even when spring break in Miami Beach, we had to send people in and get that in order. The monoclonal antibody, we used emergency response. There were obviously physicians and nurses on site, but the logistics of it was all through that. So we have wherewithal to be able to do things and do things quickly. What I told when I first became governor, I said, all right, we got to look to see what's happened well, what hasn't happened well, and different things. And a lot of people were frustrated with the power response in terms of being without power for 3 weeks or something. And so we launched our initiative to pre-stage the linemen. So it's a similar thing, honestly. It's not a detention facility, but we will set up camps where these folks are able to be there, ride out the storm, and then immediately go in and start reconnecting the power. So we just did Hurricane Milton. There were 4.2 million restorations in record time, and 99% of that was within a matter of days. The majority of that was within 24 hours. Usually in the past, folks weren't even on site working for another 72 hours, right? So we've done that. So it's a similar thing. You know, you go, we had set out the plans to DHS. This is something they wanted to approve. And we knew we'd get the reimbursement, and we're doing it actually at a rate that's cheaper than what I think they anticipated. And so you do it and you make it happen. That's just how we roll in Florida. It's important, but the directive I gave was, okay, let's see what we can do better. But by all means, do not get ground down in bureaucracy. Do not get ground down in red tape. You know, we know what the policy is. You know, you obviously, there's certain things you have to check, obviously, but just get it done and stop acting like don't pass the buck, just do it. So that's what we do. And yeah, I think it's been something that we have great response. We work very quickly. Those are just the expectations.
I'm not trying to make light of any of this, but like, when it comes to the facilities to make sure that sewage is being treated properly, I know some protesters.
No. It's all self-contained. So they will be transporting out the wastewater to facilities. There's going to be zero impact on the surrounding area. They're going above and beyond on that. They do that as a matter of course anyways. I mean, if we were doing a hurricane response in like Fort Myers Beach, you know, you're very sensitive about that. So it isn't any different. But this is, I think people think that somehow we just decided to build an airport out of whole cloth. No, that was there, right? It's a bunch of concrete. They're utilizing that, but it's interesting because they're utilizing the existing concrete footprint. Even on the interior of the airport where there's grass, they're staying off that grass. It's just grass, guys. It isn't anything said, but that's what they were doing. So yes, so that'll all be self-contained. They're going to go to extraordinary lengths to ensure that. And obviously, you know, I've invested how much billions and billions of dollars into increasing and improving the hydrology of the Everglades. If I thought somehow this was not going to was going to hurt that, then I wouldn't do it. I mean, I think this is the most efficient and effective place to do it. No, the Florida residents are not going to know that you know, that this stuff's not going to impinge on them. Whereas if you put it in a more populated area, it might. This facility just happened to be there, so we'll do. But they've got a really strong management plan. And then some people ask, like, well, what if there's a hurricane? Like, you think they didn't think of that? Of course they do. Anytime you would do anything in Florida, you'd have to think about, you know, what's going to be resistant at what. Now, this is more interior, and so the winds that you would get would likely not be as strong as what a major hurricane would bring right on the coast, but it still could potentially be significant. And so, of course, that they have plans and contingencies for all of that. So yes, that'll be done, and we would not have agreed to do it at that site if I thought that somehow it was going to negatively impact all the great work we've done on improving and restoring the Everglades. In fact, you know, we're going to be opening up the C-43 reservoir here in a couple of weeks. Massive, monumental achievement to be able to have gotten that done. And so the progress has been fantastic. Yes. They let you. You're out in the wild, out of Tallahassee. He's at Tallahassee. He came all the way to the Villages to do the budget press conference. Thank you for doing that. So look, on the property tax, we need to do property tax. It's going to require us to go to the ballot and get it done. I know, I spoke with President Albritton yesterday about it. He's committed to do it. There's no excuses. In the House of Representatives, we have almost a 3-to-1 Republican majority. Is there any possible excuse for why you can't get it done? In the Florida Senate, we have more than a 2-to-1 majority. And so we will get that done one way or another. It's going to be a very significant issue for the balance of this year and into next year. Now, there was actually a provision they put in the tax for $1 million to this bureaucracy in Tallahassee called EDR. I mean, it's kind of like a state version of like the Congressional Budget Office. I've been very nonplussed by their analysis, so I vetoed that because we don't need to give a bureaucracy money to study this. We know what needs to be done, so let's just do it. and we will do it. Now, when you're looking at the budget, I mean, look, I think that the session was unnecessarily bumpy. It's one thing if you're clashing on principle, and I stand on principle. You know, we've had disagreements amongst Senate, House in the past, and you kind of just work through those. You know, there's some times where there's things that I have to really push for, that I get internal resistance. Most of those things, once they're enacted, everyone campaigns on them, but that's beside the point. And there's sometimes when it rises to the level of having an actual confrontation. I mean, I had to veto the redistricting maps a couple years ago, call a special session, and then we did maps that, you know, I think are more consistent with the law and Constitution. And so we did that. This one, I think, was more driven by personal agendas, by kind of vendettas. I think it got really nasty between the House and Senate leadership. And I would just say most of what we have here was really a result of, you know, a lot of the Senate working with our office to be able to land the plane in a way that I think the people of Florida respect. You know, this House of Representatives, the way it does is like, you know, you have the leadership and they tell you vote this way, vote that way, and they punish you if you don't vote the way they did. So, for example, you know, when I did the immigration, so literally we have the President of the United States coming down tomorrow to tout what Florida's done. But, you know, when I called the special session at the beginning of the year to say state and local must support, you know, the Speaker of the House opposed that and tried to jam a bill in that would have eliminated all of my authority to enforce immigration laws. Why would you do that? Well, it was an amnesty bill, basically. But that wasn't driven. That was driven by a different agenda. That's not your agenda, right? And so, you know, you saw a movement in the House of Representatives in Florida to kneecap our ability to have anti-woke higher education standards and to make sure that our universities are educating, not indoctrinating. People are looking to Florida.
So we have been listening to Governor DeSantis taking questions from reporters. That happening right now in Wildwood in Sumter County. The reason he's there today was for a news conference to sign the state budget on the last day he could possibly do so before it takes effect tonight at midnight. He did make some news in announcing more than $500 million in terms of line item vetoes. He said that he would do that, and he has delivered so far on that promise. And then the other news, and the first couple of questions that the governor took, they were about Alligator Alcatraz and the fact that that facility, the immigration detention center that is slated for the Everglades near Miami-Dade and Collier County, near that border, is going to be opening tomorrow. That is the state's plan. And he announced today, and we learned today, that President Donald Trump will be in Florida at the opening of Alligator Alcatraz. So those are the two big things that are happening right now in the state of Florida. We have a budget that takes effect at midnight tonight, and Alligator Alcatraz scheduled to be opening up tomorrow. So we did hope to start at 11 o'clock with the news conference with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, but he saw that all of the reporters were ready, and as often happens when public officials have a limited amount of time, if all the reporters are ready to start early, they will start early. So the mayor started early. We hope to cut up some of that sound to present it to you and get you some of what he said, but we were told that it was only about a couple of minutes long at most. The mayor, a busy man, and we know that he is excited about the FIFA Club World Cup that is happening right now in Orlando, one of the 11 American cities that is to be hosting games. All right, so we are 29 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour, and we will be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this. Make sure to stay with us.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Thank you for being here with us on this Monday. Manny Martinez with you for the majority of this week. Garrett Weimer has a much-deserved week off. I'm learning just how difficult his job is with pushing all of these buttons that are in here. But we've made it through this first half hour clean, and this second half hour we have for you is a good one. Right now we have everything you need to know's Theron White with us. He is joining us via Zoom, and Theron is here to talk about the Test Track 3.0 preview. And Theron, you've been on Test Track. Now, the ride opens on the 22nd of July, but you've been on it 3 times.
Yes, that is correct. So right behind me, that is the newest version of Test Track. So we've had the original Test Track open in the 90s. We had the Test Track 2.0, and then now behind us, sponsored by General Motors, is Test Track 3.0, which is going to use new technologies as well as pulling in some stuff from the original 1982 World of Motion attraction that used this exact same building here at Epcot.
So there's also, Theron, a little bit of news that Disney dropped today in regards to annual pass holders and the previews that they'll get.
That is correct. So there are cast members that are going on the ride right now. I was just given a media preview, but if you are an annual pass holder, as of July 13th, you can go on to this attraction. You're going to have to get a park pass reservation and then grab a virtual queue at that 7 a.m. time. If you didn't have a park pass for that day, that's okay. They're going to do a secondary 1 p.m. virtual queue time that as long as you're in the park, you'll be able to go ahead and try for that. So as of that July 13th date, you will be able to, if you're a pass holder, a chance to be able to go and check out this attraction for yourself.
So what were your thoughts?
I got to say, I'm really happy. So I have done all 3 iterations of the Test Track attraction. I did the original one, which was like the test dummies. That's why I got this shirt on here today. But I love that one. I really love this version too. So I think this one has done a good job. They pulled back some of those projections, some of those screens, and we've got some old school Disney, some old school Epcot here. So you're going to be able to go throughout this attraction as you're learning about what it takes to be able to build a car and what the future of automotive the industry is. It's going to be using some real world stuff that we actually have now on cars today and stuff that's coming out in the next 10 years. Whether it's talking about wirelessly charging an electric car while you're driving or using LiDAR and other sensors to be able to go and experience this world and have your car drive itself. I think they did a really good job. They pull back from some of that 1982 World of Motion. They actually use one of the songs from that attraction itself. But then, of course, this is an all-new ride as well.
Just how much work goes into revitalizing a ride in the way that Disney has done here?
So this attraction itself, while the ride is the same, so you're still going to take the same left, the same right, up and down, the entire interior is all different, including the queue. So as you're seeing here on screen, I mean, that is the queue. You're seeing some of those redone spots that you walk through. You used to, in the older version of this ride, actually go and design your car. Instead, now they did a little bit more of a focus on what the industry used to be in the 60s and the 80s, and now what we're looking towards. So we have some concept art there. We've got some of the vehicles that you can walk by, but the entirety of the show aspect is totally new. And again, as you saw there on screen, you can actually see some of the vehicles themselves drive by. I actually love that. It's kind of cool. As soon as you enter into the building, you can not only see, what General Motors is working on and what Disney and some of their design aspects are, but you can see the ride vehicle the second you enter. So the people really know what exactly you're going to be able to go on. And it just adds a lot of more life to the queue itself. So
this is all part of the upgrades at the theme parks, at the Disney parks. We know that there's also upgrades coming to Magic Kingdom too. It's a constant evolving, right?
That is very true. So Disney has their 5-year plan about all the stuff they're trying to get done before the end of 2029. And there is a lot of stuff. It's coming to all of the Walt Disney World theme parks. This is one of the newest ones, of course, going to be opening here on July 22nd. But there's a lot of stuff happening. We have got stuff going to Magic Kingdom. We've got the Starlight Parade that's going to be debuting later on this summer. We've got the Cars expansion for Frontierland that's going to be happening, hopefully opening sometime in 2028, as well as the Villains Land in 2029. We've got the Monsters, Inc. coaster coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. We've got the Tropical Americas to Disney's Animal Kingdom. There is a lot happening here at these parks.
So Theron, what if I told you I've never been to Epcot, haven't had the chance to ride on Test Track?
Well, if you've never done the other versions, I do think that this is a great version for you to go and try out. You got to come and visit Epcot. It's one of the greatest theme parks in the entire world, not just from its food and from its festivals, but it's got some really, really great attractions here. It's got some new ones like Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and of course, Test Track here. But then it's got some of its classics. We've got the Living with the Lamb. We've got Spaceship Earth. And some of those are some of the fan favorite rides for the entirety of the world when it comes to Disney parks. So I really recommend you come out. If you're working there for Fox, I've got to assume you're a Florida resident. You get a pretty good annual pass discount there. I have the lowest tier one. It's about $450 a year, 25-ish a month. And I mean, you get to go into the Disney parks 5 days out of the week. I highly recommend it.
So actually, a few months ago, when my girlfriend's family was in town, we had plans to go to Epcot, and that never materialized. We bought the tickets, but then by the time we got to Sunday, we were all just so tired, we were pooped. We couldn't do it, and we had no energy. And then we transferred the tickets when they came back, and we ended up doing Magic Kingdom, which I'd already done. So I have to make it to Epcot. People say, that's the one for more adults.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's got something for everybody, but it is definitely an adult-friendly park. If you want to go here and you want to drink around the world, I highly recommend, if you have the chance to go next spring. All of their festivals are good, but my personal favorite is the Flower and Garden Festival. It looks gorgeous here. They have a ton of food and drink options, but you can't really go wrong with visiting the parks at any time. So if you want to come here, try some stuff out. If you want to get an adult drink, the Mexico bar, over at the Mexico Pavilion, they have a bunch of different bars there. Go try them all. They're fantastic margaritas. They have a bunch of different options. And they've even got one that's themed to Neil Patrick Harris. He himself helped make it.
Oh, wow. I think it's the Theron White seal of approval. Listen, Theron, you've already been on it 3 times. You going on a 4th and a 5th?
I will once the pass holder previews come out. So for today, I've done all of my rides, but I'm going to come back out on July 14th on a Monday. Go ahead and try it again, and just see what I kind of missed the first couple of times, because that's definitely one of those rides you can do again and again.
All right, Theron White with everything you need to know.info. That is EYNTK.info. We appreciate your insight as always, Theron. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, always happy to join. Come out here soon and go and try out Epcot.
I will. I'll have to do it. I think if I speak it into existence, let's say within the next 45 days. How about that?
If not, you can even push it back. September is a fantastic time to visit once school starts. So you
Perfect.
can push it back to the end of September. I'll give you that.
I'll get out there. I promise you. Pinky promise. I'll let you know too. Theron, thank you.
Day.
All right, Theron White, and everything you need to know with some good insight there about Test Track. And he is still there presenting it to us as I work on clicking here to a different camera. And let's get some of that video up here too so we can take a look at it as Theron waves goodbye. So definitely something to look forward to. That opens up again on the 22nd of July. And we will be back with some more Fox 35 News Plus here in a moment. Make sure to stay with us as we roll on this Monday.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
With us, Jessica, it has been a little bit of a rainy start to our Monday, and it seems like that pattern is going to continue this week.
Oh yeah, that's right. And one of the big reasons why is because we've got a front that's going to be pushing through. We've also got increasing rain chances due to the fact that we've got this area of low pressure that could form off the remnants of that front. And so that's why I'm starting off with talking about the tropics, because we're kind of on tropics watch. We have tropical downpours that are going to be likely into the holiday weekend, because we're going to be watching for that area of low pressure to form along the remnants of that front. So a tropical depression, it looks like at most is going to be possible. It's not looking likely at this point, but it is going to be something we're monitoring. But regardless of if we have that tropical depression or not, if there's any sort of organized system in place, we're still going to be seeing a lot of rain across the Central Florida area as we head into our July 4th holiday and then the following Saturday and Sunday. So not ideal in terms of the timing, of course, but we're talking tropical rain, which means, those very heavy downpours where we have the big raindrops. So that's what's going to be expected as we head into the end of this week and into the weekend as well. So again, right now it's just a 20% chance of development. It looks like an area of low pressure could form maybe on either side of the Florida peninsula. So maybe the Gulf or Atlantic side. As of right now, things have been leaning a little bit more towards the Gulf side, so that'll be something else we continue to monitor, and obviously will play a big role in where exactly we see the highest totals of rainfall fall. So I mentioned that front. It's going to be moving through late this week, and it is going to be helping to bring with it multiple rounds of showers and storms. Again, some very heavy rain at that, and it is going to be fading as it sags its way further to the south and east. And exactly how far south and east it makes it, it's going to be another thing we continue to monitor. So what we do know is once it makes its way as far as it'll go, it is going to kind of situate itself and just kind of stall out and won't be going anywhere anytime soon, which is what's going to help to keep those rain chances in the forecast, unfortunately, as we head over the course of this weekend and beyond. So it'll be something we, of course, monitor, especially when it comes to the tropics. As always, you can trust your Fox 35 storm team with the very latest when it comes to all things tropics as we continue to dive into the season. But rain chances for the end of this week, even just today and tomorrow, they're not going to be too widespread. This weekend, gosh, it felt like such a washout. But for today, we're looking at a 50% chance, up to a 60% chance for Tuesday. And then you'll see that increase as we head into our 4th of July holiday, up to a 70% chance. And in fact, we might increase that a little bit more as we start to get more into the fine-tuned data and we get more information in regarding this particular system as a whole. So let's take you through future clouds and radar, because it does show that we are going to be expecting some very hit and miss showers for today. Really best chances of rain will likely take place around 2 and 3 o'clock and last through, say, 8 and 9 p.m. today, when things are going to be winding down as a result of the sun going down. Regardless, they are going to kind of play bumper cars, these isolated downpours, as they grow more so into clusters, and that will help for them to grow a little more widespread. So about a 50% chance of rain for today. Very hit and miss. Some heavy downpours and lightning and thunder will be possible at times before things, again, wrap up eventually as we get closer towards, say, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. So if you have outdoor plans today, it's not going to be necessarily like what we saw this weekend. You'll have some more dry time, but the sunshine today is probably going to be pretty hard to come by. We're going to be expecting the clouds. They already have really started to roll in, and they'll continue to stay put essentially for much of the day. There will be some breaks, very hit and miss, but that's going to help to keep a lid on our temperatures, meaning highs today will actually be below normal. I feel like we don't say that a lot this time of year, so we'll be seeing a high of around 88 degrees today in Orlando, 89 in Bithlo, 88 as well, though, in Sanford to DeLand, around 87 degrees for our Volusia County beaches, so Daytona Beach, New Smyrna, around 87 as well for our Brevard County beaches like Cocoa Beach and also into Melbourne. A little closer to the mid-80s, though, once we get further west near I-75, so Ocala to the Villages. That's where we expect a high today of around 85 degrees. So not everyone is going to see the rain today, a 50% chance. Tomorrow begins July. I feel like this summer has been flying by, but we're going to be expecting, honestly, kind of a not so summer-like stretch in terms of the temperatures. They're going to be, a couple degrees below normal, especially as we head into the weekend. Again, I wish this timing, of all weekends and all days for this to happen, of course, it's the 4th of July weekend, but we'll see a 70% chance of rain as of right now, a high of 87 degrees. That's going to be for the 4th of July holiday on Friday. 70% chance of rain, as I mentioned, for Saturday and Sunday as well. A high of 88 for Saturday and 89 degrees for the following Sunday. So might as well get used to the rain. The heat is not going to be quite as bad, Manny, but it certainly is going to be quite warm and muggy out there. You could probably feel it as you were making your way inside this morning. It was very warm and muggy. Yeah.
It was really muggy when I walked outside. I'm not normally out, that early in the morning, and normally I know that morning time is time for a little bit of a reprieve, a break from that just mugginess that we see throughout the day, and it was sticky. And, one thing that I like that you said was bumper cars that these storms are playing. I thought that was a good way of putting it.
It's true because, we have the outflow boundaries, which is essentially rain-cooled air that rushes out from the thunderstorm, and that also helps the thunderstorm itself collapse. But when we have those outflow boundaries as they collide, just like the sea breeze, and sometimes it's the sea breeze and those outflow boundaries, colliding, it helps to form more of those thunderstorms. So that's why we see them, once we start to see a couple of blips pop up on the radar, we quickly start to see more, especially as that sea breeze comes into play. So that's the best way for me to kind of visualize it. So I'm glad you noticed that.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So we are looking at downtown Orlando on this Monday. You'll see that the sun is still shining there. We'll go up the road in Lake Mary, same deal. But then if we head over to Daytona Beach, there is that rain that Jessica was talking about. Stay with us. We have Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer on the FIFA Club World Cup in just a couple of minutes. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back to Fox 35 News Plus. We have been talking about it for the past hour, and now it is finally time to give it to you. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer spoke today to reporters about the excitement of Orlando hosting the FIFA Club World Cup. That's a new tournament. 32 teams from 6 confederations, leagues as us Americans would call them. And they're playing in 11 cities. Orlando is one of them. The tournament is running here through the middle of July. And so the mayor spoke about just having tens of thousands of people here in the city. And why don't we listen to what he had to say? I told you it was short. You'll see how short it was.
Okay, we are hosting the FIFA Club World Cup, and it really emphasizes Orlando's status as the nation's top sports destination. We were one of 11 cities to host these matches. Only one that has 2 stadiums that are hosting them. So we played 2 in Inter&Co Stadium a couple weeks ago, and then 2 at Camping World last week. The 2 matches at Camping World had a combined attendance of more than 85,000 fans. We have 2 games left. The first one is tonight, and we're in the knockout rounds. So it's a round of 16 game, and then on July 4th, we'll have a quarterfinal game. So the tournament has been a great opportunity to showcase our outstanding venues and welcoming vibrant city. Think about tonight's game. So Man City is playing, so we'll have fans from England watching as well as Al Hilal. So we'll have a large crowd watching from the Middle East. So with the 2 games left, there are shuttles that come from downtown to make it easy to get to the game. And then on July 4th, we will have Sunrail running from 1 o'clock to 11:30 at night. So you can take Sunrail in for the game, or you can take Sunrail in to see the fireworks. So what a great day to be in downtown Orlando to watch both a quarterfinal soccer match as well as 4th of July fireworks. And the fireworks go from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock with a grand finale beginning at 9:10. With that, I would be happy to take some questions. We're very excited about having both the Club World Cup here, which is 6 games, as well as the potential to host the Jags during the 27 season when they're rebuilding their stadium in Jacksonville. We were designated as the best sports event destination in the entire country, so we think we have a great reputation for any event that ought to come, but we anticipate hearing from the NFL owners and the Jaguars that we will be hosting them in 27.
So that is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer speaking about the excitement of the FIFA Club World Cup in his city, in Orlando, one of 11 American cities to host matches. And he mentioned that the only one with 2 sites, and you're looking at one of them. That is a live look at Camping World Stadium. You have a match tonight, Manchester City against Al Hilal. It's a Saudi club. The cheapest get-in price, according to StubHub, is $23. The kickoff is tonight at 9 if you want to make it out there. That brings us to the end of our hour here on Fox 35 News Plus. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning on this Monday and starting off your week with us. We will be back here with Florida Live out of this studio coming up in just a couple of hours at 2. We hope to see you then.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And a good morning to you. It is Monday, June 30th, 2025. Thank you for being here with us on Fox 35 News Plus. Manny Martinez in for Garrett Weimer here for the majority of the week. And it is a busy start to our Monday because let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that we have happening. There are a couple of things that we are tracking happening right now at 11 o'clock, and that is the governor's news conference that is on the right side of your screen. And then we are also waiting on Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer to speak about the FIFA Club World Cup and the success that it has been so far for the city of Orlando. So it is two things that we are watching and waiting for. The mayor was supposed to start at 11 o'clock. It seemed as though he started speaking a little before 11 o'clock, and then the cameras shifted position, perhaps going to restart here in a moment. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and go to the governor's news conference, which is happening
pigs, steer projects and things of that nature. So we're very proud of that, and thank you, Governor, and the legislature for signing that bill. This year, the Florida Forest Service will go to 2,500 fires throughout the state of Florida. In the last 2 years, we now have a fleet of helicopters, drones, to be able to respond immediately to these fires. You may not see a lot of this. We have record control burn, prescribed burn here in the state of Florida, and we're going to continue to do those things. We do not want to become California or the Midwest or Canada on these issues. We appreciate the legislature and the governor for giving us the equipment and tools we need to do our job with. Very proud of that. Our ag law has been beefed up. Our northern border security, our interdiction stations. Just recently, we worked with HSI and Border Patrol, had a major fuel theft bust here in Spring Hill, Florida. You can look it up. It's going to be a media release today. Over almost $50,000 was secured. We took down a major ring that was not only in the state of Florida, but around the country. So we're very proud of our ag law. We've got a great team there now. They're doing a great job keeping us safe in our state. Our Consumer Services Division this year has a Operation Safe Summer program. We've removed over 15,000 packages of illegal hemp in our stores just in the last week from this program. We're going to continue to do that. They're targeting our children with these programs. Last year we had an operation called Candy Crush. Nearly 1 million packages were taking off of our shelves, targeting our children. We appreciate the legislature and the governor for the help that they've given us on that program. The team's doing very well. This year, in the budget, we have many good nuggets that will really go unseen. One of them is a transfer switch program. So when we have a hurricane, you lose power. You can't turn power back on the fuel stations because we don't have generators. We've got a grant program this year to be able to put transfer stations within those gas stations so that we can hook a generator to it at the state level and get those fueling stations back up and running very quickly. So we're very proud of that. The governor did a great job speaking about our the water programs, and it's been true how good we're doing. In agriculture, we're doing an amazing job signing our farmers up for what we call BMPs, Best Management Practice Programs. And we have a cost share program just in the Indian River Lagoon alone. We've signed up over 20,000 acres